Hello everybody and welcome back to the 2018 Granny Square Crochet Along. We are into April now. We are on our 91st square 91, and today we are doing things a bit differently. We are having a mystery square. So think of it a bit like a mystery tour. You only know the next little bit what you're doing. Okay, you only know the next road you're going down. So this is a true kind of crochet along in all senses, that I will show you what we're doing, and then hopefully you'll pause the video and you will do that part that I've just done, and as it grows you will see your square forming. So I hope you enjoy what we're doing today. Just doing it a little bit different, shaking things up a little bit. So all I can tell you about today's square is that it will take a little while to do. There are several single crochets in the first part, so single crochets can take a while to build up. So what you will need are two colours. Now one colour will be for a flower petals, and one colour will be for a background. Okay, well, it'll be the centre and the background. They kind of join in the end. The other thing is some scissors for when you are cutting and fastening off your hook. Some stitch markers will be very useful, or some short pieces of yarn. And of course you might want to make yourself a cup of tea or coffee before you start, because like I said, it is going to take a little while. But hopefully we're just going to have fun together and build this square up as we go. So grab your things and let's get started. Okay, so as most of our squares, you want to start with a ring or a loop. So you can either do a magic ring or your own version of that. I've shown you one before, or you can do, as I have, chain 4 and slip stitch into your first chain and make a ring that way. And then you are going to essentially be making 8 double crochets with chain 3 spaces in between. So our first step is to make a chain of 6, and this will be the first 3 chains will be our first double crochet, and the second 3 chains will be our chain 3 space. So now you need to do a double crochet into the center of your ring and a chain of 3. Oops, 1, 2, 3, and then another double crochet and a chain of 3. And you need to do this all the way around until you have the equivalent, including this chain here as 1. You need 8 double crochets and 8 chain 3 spaces, and I will join you back at the start. Okay, now I might not have actually told you, but this is your background colour. Okay, you're starting with your background colour. So you want to do your 8 double crochets, or 7 double crochets, and your starting chain, and 8 chain 3 spaces. And then you're going to go in your third chain of 6 and join with a slip stitch. Now I have just zoomed my camera in because I'm aware that you haven't got anything to go on for this, so you need to see where my stitches are going. So I'm going to try and show you as much as possible, as closely as possible, what I'm doing. So this is round 1, and when you've done that part you need to fasten off and grab your petal colour. Okay, so grab your petal colour, which in my case is this lemony yellow, and you want to join it with a single crochet in any chain 3 space. Find one of your chain 3 spaces, and if you don't know how to join with a single crochet, this is how you do it. Make your slip knot, pop your hook through, grab your working yarn, and then while those 2 loops are on there, I like to pop the tail over just to help secure it. Pop it over there and then pull through, and that's your first single crochet. So that tail isn't totally secure, but it's a lot better than not being secured at all. Okay, so you're going to do a single crochet in there, and then you're going to do another single crochet into this space. Oops. Okay, so you will have 2 single crochets in there, and then you are going to chain 14. Okay, so chain 14, and when you have 14 you are going to count 6 back from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in the 6th chain from the hook you are going to do a double crochet in your 6th chain from the hook, double crochet, and then you are going to chain 2, and then on this side where we started working into, you're going to skip 2 chains. So we're making this a mirror image, so we've got 2 chains there, so we need to skip 2 chains on this side and go into the 3rd chain and make a double crochet, and then you want to do 2 more chains. Again, skip 2 more chains on this side, so 1, 2, work into the 3rd chain with a double crochet. Oops, got a bit tangled there. Try that one again. So 2 chains, miss 2 chains, and do a double crochet into there. And then you should be left with 2 chains at the bottom. There should be 2 chains here at the bottom. Okay, and that is the foundation of your first petal. I know it looks a bit strange, but it is the first. So you are going to you're going to chain 1 and turn your work around, and now you are going to do a single crochet into this first double crochet. Okay, a single crochet into this first double crochet, 2 single crochets over this chain, a single crochet into the next double crochet, 2 single crochets over the chain, and a single crochet into this double crochet. And then in this top chain space you want to make 7 double crochets, but when you get to the 4th one you need to stop. So we're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this 4th one is your central one, so then grab a stitch marker or a piece of yarn and pop your stitch marker through that 4th stitch. Okay, so that marks your very top center stitch, which will be quite useful later on. And then you're going to do another 3 single crochets in this top. So that will be 7 single crochets all together. 3, the one with the stitch marker, and another 3. And then you're going to do the same, coming down, single crochet into the double crochet, 2 single crochets into this chain space, single crochet into the double crochet, and 2 single crochets over this chain, and a single crochet into the double crochet space. And there is your first round over that. Now, if I am going too fast for you as we continue along, if I am going too fast, then up in the top or just below there should be a function, some 3 dots or a cog button you can use and slow the video right down, and that option should be there. If it's not, don't forget you can pause, rewind as much as you like. Okay, so you should have 21 single crochets. If you count along, you should have 10 going up, then the one in the middle, and 10 coming down. 21 single crochets. So now you want to chain 1 and turn your work around, and now we are working in the back loop only. We've done many squares that require back loop only, and it's, if you look at your stitches, you've got 2 bars here. If you can see that there, you've got 2 bars, the front and the back, so you want to go into this back one. Okay, if I can get my thing through. So there we go, there's your back loop. So we're going to be working into the back loop only, and we are going to do a single crochet in the back loop only of all 10, working up. So you might need to turn your work slightly so you can see over the side and see the bars of your stitches. So you're going to do 10 back loop only, working all the way up, and stop when you get for your stitch marker. So 10 single crochets in the back loop. Okay, so you've done 10. Now I've just removed my stitch marker, and in this one, in the back loop, you want to do 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then in that middle one, so the second one from your hook, just pop your stitch marker back in there, so you've always got the top point marked. And then it's the same, 10 single crochets in the back loop all the way down. Okay, so now you should have 23 stitches, 23 single crochets for your petal. And now we're going to do exactly the same thing again. Chain 1, turn your work, and then you are going to do, it will be 11 single crochets working up, and then 3 in your top, and 11 single crochets working back down. So again, it's into that back loop only, 11 single crochets going up one side, 3 in the top, and 11 back down to the other side. Simples. Okay, so that was our 3rd round on here. So now, 3rd round of the petal. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing. If you want to count your stitches, you should have 25 now. So 25 stitches, and now you're going to chain 1, and you're going to turn, and you are going to work up in the next 12 stitches. Okay, so it will be 12 stitches up, 3 in the center. Don't forget to keep your stitch marker in there, or replace it rather. So 12, then 3, and then 12 coming back down, and then we'll move on. Okay, so now you should have 27 stitches around here. So now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. You need to slip the loop off your hook, and you need to fold your petal in half long ways. Okay, fold your petal in half long ways, and then insert your hook in this very first stitch on this side, so the side opposite your loop. Find that first single crochet, and you might have to use your fingers to help get both of those loops on there, because it's the very first one. So work that stitch onto, she says it might be a bit tricky, and it is a bit tricky. So work this stitch onto your hook. Go from the other way if you need to. Oh my gosh, mine doesn't want to come on. I've done it quite tightly and small. So there we go, work that stitch onto your hook. Okay, and then pop this loop back on, and then you're going to pull it through this single crochet like a slip stitch. Okay, so you're going to slip that closed. So this part's still open, but this part here is closed, and this part here is open, so which is like the bottom. Now what you're going to do is you're going to slip stitch this edge closed, but you need to do it fairly neatly because this will be showing later. So you need to do about 3 or 4 slip stitches across here, so wherever you can see to go. So there's a space here, and go into there and go into the opposite space. So there's one slip stitch, going to the next space, going to here, and there's 2 slip stitches, and then I'm going to probably just do 3 in here. Going to go across here into here. Okay, so whatever you think you can manage there, 3 or 4 slip stitches just to close this edge. Okay, so you've still got all this part open here. Okay, and then in your last 2 chains down here, remember I said at the beginning we have 2 chains left here. You are going to do a slip stitch into each of those 2 chains. So 1, and go into the second chain and do a slip stitch into that second chain, and that is your first petal complete. Now I know it looks a bit strange. The reason these slip stitches matter about how neat is because if I just pull this loop up, when we use it or sort it all out later on, it's going to fold up like this for your petal, so these stitches will show here. Okay, so that's your first petal. Now I'm going to quickly take you through starting another petal, because it is a bit different from the first one. So I will take you through that in just a second. Okay, so before we move on to our next petal, you need to come back down to your bottom, your center, and do 2 more single crochets in that same space. So 2 more single crochets next to your original 2 single crochets. And then we're going to do a picot, which is 5 chains, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, and then you're going to go into your first chain and do a slip stitch. Okay, slip stitch into that first chain, and there's your little picot there. And then you are going to go into your next chain of 3 and do 2 more single crochet. Okay, 1 and 2. So you've got your single crochets in this one, your picot in the middle, and then you're going to have 4 single crochets here eventually, but you've just done 2 right now. So we're going to start on our next petal. I'm going to go through that one a bit quicker, but I will remind you how far you need to rewind for copying that. Okay, so you need to chain 14. So chain 14, and then into the 6th stitch, 6th chain, sorry, you need to do a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to do a double crochet. So essentially the same as the previous, but I'm just going to remind you how that was done. Okay, so 6 chain from the hook, a double crochet, and then 2 chains. Skip 2 chains on this side and a double crochet in the 3rd. Oops. Chain 2. Double crochet in this side in the 3rd chain along. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Work likes to turn and twist all over the place. Okay, so we've now got 1, 2, 3, 3 bars and our top. Okay, and now you want to chain 1 and turn, and you want to do a single crochet in your double crochet, and then you're going to do 2 single crochets in your chain space, single crochet in your double, 2 in the chain space, oops, 2 single crochets in this chain space, 1 in the double, 7 in this top, 1, 2, 3, 4, pop a stitch marker on that fourth one, 5, 6, 7, 1 in the double, 2 in the chain, 1 in the double, 2 in the chain, oops, 1, 2 in the, oh my goodness, it's jumping all over, 2 in the chain, and 1 in the double. And then you will chain 1 and turn. And now you will do 1 in the back loop only of every single crochet as you work up, all the way up to this stitch marker. And then you will do 3 in the top and 1 in each all the way down. And you will have 21 single crochets. Sorry, at the end of this round you will have 23 single crochets. You should have 21 already. At the end of this round you will have 23. Okay, so you should now have 23 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn and work back up all the way up to your stitch marker. Make sure you do 3 in the top and come all the way back down, and you will have 25 single crochets at the end of this round. Okay, so you should have 25 stitches on your petal now. Now this petal we finish off differently to our previous petal, okay, and this is how we're going to finish off all of our petals until the very last one. So you're going to chain 1 and turn, and then you're going to do a single crochet in the back loop of the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3 stitches, okay, 3 single crochets, and then you are going to pull your loop up, take your hook out, and then what you're going to do is lay this down. It's a bit twisted. I think I possibly twisted my original petal. So let's get that laying down properly. There we go. So what you want to do is in this petal you want to count 11 stitches down from your stitch marker. Now you could count 3 up, but because of this bundle here it's easier to count 11 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Pop your hook into that back loop, so you can see it. You can probably, if you look, you'll see it's your 3rd stitch up, and then so into your 11th loop, or 11th down or 3rd up, pop your loop back on your hook, and then just bring this working yarn around. It's a bit fiddly. Just bring this working yarn around to the front, and then pop your loop on, and then you are just going to slip stitch those 2 together. Okay, so you're going to slip stitch those 2 together, and then turn it round so you've got your working petal facing you, and you are going to do 3 single crochets into the back loop of the next 3 stitches. Okay, so you can see we've joined here in the 3rd one. We've done 3, joined in the 3rd one, and we've done 3 stitches up here. So now we need to look over at our previous petal, and we need to skip 2 single crochets and work into the back loop of the 3rd one. So this joins them in exactly the same place. Okay, and then you will have this join where you've got a slip stitch and 3 stitches in between and another slip stitch here. Okay, so slip in the third, 3 more up and another slip stitch, and then you are going to work all the way around the rest of your petal, all the way up to the top in the back loop. So continue on your working petal all the way up to the top, and when you get to the top you're going to do 3 stitches and you're going to work all the way down to the bottom doing back loop only single crochets. Okay, and I will meet you back down this bottom to sort the bottom of our petal out. Okay, so when you've gone all the way up to the top and 3 in the top and then back down the side, you are going to do what you did for the first petal. You're going to slip your hook out, pop your hook into this bottom stitch. We'll see if I can get mine through a bit easier this time. So you're going through both loops, pop your hook in, pop the loop back on and close it up and bring that loop through, and you've closed that petal up. And then you want to do your 3 or 4 slip stitches across here to close up this bottom edge. So 3 or 4 slip stitches, 2, 3. I think personally I usually can do about 3, and then I'm like, where's the 4th one going to go? So I've done 3 slip stitches there. Maybe I can get a 4th one in there actually. Let's do that. There we go. And then making sure your middle is facing the front. You can actually put a stitch marker in here to mark the front if that's easier for you. Then you're going to identify, find your 2 chains and do a slip stitch in each chain. So 2 slip stitches. I don't know what's happening today. What's happening in my yarn today? So all my fingers maybe. 1 and 2 slip stitches, 1 in each chain. Okay, that's that petal done. So it's joined to the previous petal, and then you want to do 2 single crochets in this bottom chain next to your other single crochets, 2 down here, so in here, and then you're going to do your picot, which is 5 chains. Apologise, my stitch mark is making a tap. And then so 5 chains, go into your first chain and do a slip stitch to make that cute little picot, and then 2 single crochets into the next chain 3 of your initial ring here. Okay, and that brings you back to the start of this petal. So if you rewind about 10 minutes, you'll get the start of this petal, and you need to do that for 6 more petals. Okay, you need 8 petals altogether. Do 6 more petals. When it comes to the 8th petal, once you've got it done and it's flat, don't do your joining. We'll do that together at the end. Well, actually, yes, do your joining on the right hand side, and then I will show you how we go about doing it on the other side. Okay, so do 6 more petals, rewind 11 minutes now, I've been talking, and each time rewind it about 11 minutes for each petal, and I will meet you back in a while. Okay, how are you doing after doing all these 7 petals? I did tell you at the beginning that it does take a while, so we're just going to finish joining our last petal, and then I think it's time for you, if you haven't already, I think it's time to have a quick break. You don't have to do it all in one go, and you certainly might need to stretch a bit at your fingers and your shoulders. So I told you to continue and to join it on the right to this petal. Then what you need to do, if you have gone all the way around, then you just need to undo 6 stitches, okay? Because what you need to do is you need to work up to the top for your top 3, and then you need to do 6 more stitches down the side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So if you had worked all the way to the bottom, then there are 6 stitches left. So just undo 6 stitches and you'll be in the correct place. Okay, now we need to join it to this petal. So our first one, so what you're going to do is pull that loop up, and now we're just going to do it in the reverse of what we used to do around on the right. So count, this time we're doing it from the top down, so you want to count 7 stitches down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go in the back loop, so go in the back loop of that 7th stitch down and join it with this loop here, and do a slip stitch through there. Okay, and then turn it back around so that we're on the petal that we're working on. Do 3 more stitches in the back loop only, so 1, 2, 3 stitches in the back loop only. And then if you look at this previous petal, you're going to count 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and go in the back loop only. So kind of the reverse of what we did on the right. We used to work upwards, but this time we're working downwards. So you're going to slip stitch through there, and then you're just going to complete these last 3 stitches on this working petal that you're on now. So do those last 3 stitches, and that's all your petals joined. The only thing to do now is to fold this petal in half and join it as you have done on your previous petals. So do your slip stitch and your slip stitches here and your slip stitches in your chain, and I will join you back when you've done your 2 slip stitches in your chain. Okay, now this very last part that we're going to do, there's a lot of work going on around it, and it can get a bit confusing as to where we're going, what we're doing with our hook and everything. So make sure that you're on the right side up. Make sure all your petals are facing with this folded bit here. Okay, and then you are going to, from the right side, you're going to do your last 2 single crochets in this chain space. Okay, just grab my yarn. So do your last 2 single crochets in this chain, or over that chain, sorry, and then you want to do your very last picot. 3, 4, 5. So your very last picot. I'm just bringing this all to a finish on this first part. So let's do your slip stitch, and then you don't need to do any more chains in, sorry, any more single crochets in this one. So you are literally now just going to find your first single crochet in this initial chain space here, and you are going to do a slip stitch in that first single crochet, and that is your round completed. So you need to just fasten this off. So I do that, pull through, and then grab your scissors, snip that off, pull through, and then you can just pop this yarn to the back. And this is kind of how we're looking. So all of these places where you did your slip stitches when you folded the petal, these now should be folding down, so you've got your slip stitch in the middle, and they're making like a sort of cup You see that there? It's making a kind of cup shape. Now keep these stitch markers in because they will be useful when we continue. So these should all be just laying flattish. Okay, just go around and make them all sort of flattish and kind of cup-like. Okay, and well done for getting through all those petals. It was quite an epic task getting through all those petals. Well done. So now I think you should have a break, make a cup of tea, stretch your legs, have a good stretch, and I will see you for part 2. And when you come back, you will need your initial colour, your background colour. Okay, I'm going to make this into a square. So go have a stretch, and I'll see you in a moment in part 2.